When I first started lifting, I found that one of the hardest parts trying to build up my arms. It's always been one of my weak points until I built this arm day. In this video, I'm going to show you the arm day that got my arms from this to this. Just a quick warning before the video starts, I am not a personal trainer. This is just the arm day that I did that grew my arms. So without further ado, let's get into it. Before you start any workout, you should be doing at least 5 minutes of cardio just to get the blood flowing to the muscle. Then I'd recommend doing some dynamic stretching. If you don't know what the difference between dynamic and static stretching, basically dynamic is when you don't hold the stretch and static is when you hold it for a long time. You'd be wanting to do your dynamic stretching before your exercise and you want to be doing your static after your exercise. Now let's get into the actual workout. The first exercise I do on my arm day is a shoulder press variation. So it's going to be dumbbell, barbell, etc. I usually do 2 to 3 sets of this. If I do 2 sets, I'll go to failure. And if I do 3 sets, I'll go close to failure in the 2 first sets. And I'll go to all out failure in the last set. I wouldn't recommend this to everybody though, especially for beginners, because you really don't have to go to failure when you're a beginner. You just have to train with some sort of intensity and you'll grow. Because as a beginner, that's the most you're gonna make progress. So overall, as a beginner, I wouldn't really recommend going to all out failure until at least 1 year of training.
That's a dumb recommendation. You should be hitting true failure every set with partials.
Wait, so do you even take rest days then?
Hell nah, brother. 7 days a week straight.
So when was the last time you made progress, Grayson?
A while ago, brother.
And for the second exercise of this arm day is a tricep variation. So I'll either do some tricep push downs, I'll do some close grip bench, or I'll do some JM press. I like to go to failure on all of these movements because they're isolation movements instead of a compound. With my compound movements, I don't really like to go to failure because you're going to grow your bench press, squat, and deadlift if you just do it close to failure or even have like an RPE like 7. And if you were like me 6 months ago and had no idea what the RPE means, it basically means how hard the exercise was. So for example, an exercise with an RPE of 10 is absolute failure, you couldn't do any more. And with an RPE of 9, I hit close to failure, but I had 1 more rep in me. And same thing with all the other ones. So my third exercise on my arm day is a bicep exercise. So this can be barbell curl, it can be dumbbell curl, and honestly my personal favorite, 1-arm preacher curl. I'd rather do the 1-arm preacher curl over 2-arm because I like to really feel the contraction of the bicep when I work out. Speaking of that mind-muscle connection, I find it super important to feel the muscle actually contracting if you want it to grow. But especially with bicep movements, because if you're ego lifting on biceps, you're not really gonna get them to grow all that much. That, my friends, is not a good bicep curl. That, my friends, is a bicep curl. Now I understand if you're approaching failure, it's almost impossible to keep perfect form, which is why I'm not telling you to keep exact perfect textbook form as you're lifting. Actually, if you kept perfect form the entire time, you'd be limiting yourself some growth because you won't be training as intense if you have a little bit more of a form. So now I probably have you confused. I'm telling you not to ego lift, but I'm telling you not to have perfect form. So what am I trying to tell you? I'm trying to tell you don't exercise like you've never touched this weight in your life, but also don't exercise like you have a stick up your ass the entire time. Just try to find that sweet spot where you're doing good reps and at the end you can cheat curl a little bit, but don't go too crazy like you're just all momentum when you're doing your bicep curl. And for the fourth exercise you're going to be doing in this arm day is lateral raises. Now you might be asking yourself, if we already did a shoulder movement to begin with, why are we doing another one? Well, that's a good question to ask. The reason why we're doing another shoulder movement if we did overhead press is because the lateral raise hits more the side delt of the shoulder and the overhead press hits more the front delt of the shoulder. And the reason why it's so important to build your side delt is because if you want to look big in a t-shirt, just look big overall, having broad shoulders is going to be nice. And for my fifth and final exercise, it's going to be, well, depending on what your goal is. If you're trying to build more your forearms, you can do wrist curls, cable wrist curls, etc. If you're trying to build your rear delts, you can do a rear delt movement with this exercise. You can either do single arm rear delt flies, or you can do just regular rear delt flies. And there you have it. That was the arm day that got my arms from this to this. Just a reminder that having a really good arm day isn't just gonna add inches to your arms. You have to eat lots of protein, eat in a calorie surplus. You have to drink lots of water, like a gallon a day. and to sleep for at least 8 hours a day. That's what helped me grow my arms the most, and hopefully it'll help you too. Make sure to subscribe to see more stuff like this, and if you don't subscribe, I'm sending Will to your house.